Good evening, everyone. I believe it's 5:30. We'll go ahead and get started. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Good evening. My name is Rebecca Garcia. I'm the Housing Director for the City of Morgan Hill. It's my pleasure to be here with you this evening and talk about housing and how you do a housing search in today's really difficult market. I will be introducing my teammates shortly. Next. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about what is affordable housing, how do you access it, and how to support our unhoused residents. Before we dive in, there's really three questions we'd like you to kind of think about and keep in the back of your mind. How many people are in your home? We call that your total household size. What is your total household income? And now that you have that information, where can you find yourself on the income chart we're going to show you in just a little bit? This is important so you can kind of begin to understand what programs are uniquely designed for you and your income and your family. I think one of the challenges about affordable housing and housing programs is it's hard to know, what you're eligible for, but really if you ask yourself those questions, what's your total household income? How many people are in your home, and where do you fall at within the chart we're going to show you? It'll really be a great starting point for you to navigate the housing world. Each program is really designed, again, to meet a certain income level. So depending on whether you're in box A or box B, you'll be guided towards rental opportunities or ownership opportunities. And that'll make a little bit more sense in just a minute. We offer a variety of different housing opportunities and programs. We have our below market rate ownership program, which Julius will talk about in just a little bit. We have our below market rate rental program. We can provide you with some guidance tonight on how you do a housing search in today's market. We'll talk a little bit about how we support our homeless community, our unhoused neighbors. And then lastly, we're here to really support you. We're public servants, so it's our job to respond to you. And this is something all of us here tonight are passionate about, housing and the affordability crisis. So feel free to contact us, to call us. If we don't have an answer, we will try to find an answer for you. Sometimes we offer the service directly, but a lot of times it's also we can connect you to legal support services or rental assistance, or we have a lot of really wonderful partners in this county, too many to name tonight. You'll be hearing from House Keys. They're one of our incredibly important partners. They do a lot of work for the city. So we're here as a resource. Next. Okay, so sometimes I get asked, who is affordable housing for? And last time I did this, I named off like 20 different professions. Tonight, I'm just going to say most of us. There are so many jobs and incomes that fall within the affordable categories. This is literally us. This is not about housing other people. This is about housing us, our residents, our youth, our aging population, our workforce. I can't say that enough. Our workforce, our essential workers need this affordable housing. Our service providers, our community-based organizations, people with special needs, so many people getting priced out of the Bay Area. So again, this is really a conversation about housing that most of us and a lot of us would qualify for. There's certainly not enough of it, but again, it's really housing for our workforce. Next. Okay, so to answer the question, how does the city end up with affordable units? There's a couple different ways. The first way is the city and the council for many years has had a policy that says if you're going to build residential development units, apartments or single family homes, a certain percentage of those homes are going to be affordable and deed restricted. For 40 plus years, the city had a really unique residential development growth control management program called RDCS for short. It's currently suspended because of the state housing crisis and recent legislation, but the cool thing that it did for 40 plus years is it really built into the city this idea of economic inclusivity, and it's really in the DNA. So Morgan Hill, 90 different developments, there's affordable units sprinkled throughout the city as a result of that program. That was suspended a couple years ago, but we replaced it with something similar called an inclusionary housing ordinance, which essentially does the same thing. It says if you're going to build outside of the downtown, 15% of your units are going to be affordable. That's true for both ownership, for sale, townhome, rental, you name it. If it's within the downtown, it's 10% of the project is going to be considered affordable. And we say, we use the term affordable. It also is income based. You also hear us say BMR for below market rate home. So that policy is really important, and that's one of the ways in which we get affordable homes in our city. We also have nonprofit developers who come to the city and build 100% affordable projects. So we definitely get affordable projects that way as well, and have for many years. Next. Okay, a little about our inventory. So because of the policies that I just mentioned, every 1 in 8 home is affordable and deed restricted in the city of Morgan Hill. We're really proud of that. That's quite an accomplishment. I can't take credit for it. It's been going on for 40 years, so it has a lot to do with long-standing leadership. But it is really quite an accomplishment. Every time I tell somebody Morgan Hill has that much affordability, they're shocked. It just means the city has done it really, really well, and it's, you know, spread out mostly throughout the community. So a total today of 1,780 income-based units. Of that, 560 below market rate ownership units, 1,220 affordable rental units, and 839 mobile homes that are the mobile homes are rent restricted by an ordinance. These units today are currently occupied, and we have a 1% vacancy rate. So I know everybody knows we're in a housing shortage and a housing crisis, so I won't spend a lot of time on that, except we got to get out of it over the next 5 to 10 years. But hope is on the horizon. We were just at a groundbreaking yesterday, and in that one project, we're expecting 78 very low income rental units. So, and we expect 80 ownership for sale units in the pipeline. So even though I say the current inventory is occupied, keep in mind, hope is on the horizon. We have lots of units in the development pipeline and under construction. And also, even if they are occupied, people move out, right? So vacancies come up, resale ownership opportunities come up as well. Next. Okay, so this goes back to what I was initially talking about. How do you know if you qualify for an income-based housing opportunity? Next, that goes to those questions I was asking you to think about. How many people are in your home? What is your total gross monthly income? So today, you know, a low income person today is actually around $92,200. That is shocking. These numbers go up every year. So and they actually just changed them as of a couple of days ago. But essentially, you want to find out, okay, am I in the extremely low income bucket, the very low income bucket, the lower income bucket, the moderate bucket? If you are anywhere in the lower or below, so that's 80% of the area median income or below that, then you are geared towards rental opportunities. If you are starting to hit the moderate income category in your household, then you're going to be geared towards ownership opportunities. So again, we have the updated income chart. We always have it on our website, and we're happy to email it to you as well. But that's kind of your first starting point for determining what category you fall under. You know, these titles of extremely low, very low, low, they're very technical, and I don't personally love them, but it's what the state assigns to kind of help us make sense of programs. So don't get too caught up on the nuances of the name, but important for you to know what category you fall under. Next. Okay, so again, we're talking about how do you access rental opportunities, and then how do you access ownership opportunities? Next, we're going to first talk about rental opportunities. It is an extremely, extremely challenging housing market. Vacancies are 1%. If you are serious about looking for a housing opportunity, you are going to have to do some work. I wish I was here to tell you it's all in one place. You can Judy Jetson it and find out all the answers in one spot, and That's not how it's currently set up. I hope someday that's how the world works. But right now, you have to be very persistent and follow through and really cover all your bases. So here's my tips. Use social media to your advantage for this. Craigslist, PadMapper, Facebook Marketplace, Nextdoor. You want to make sure that you're using all of these social media tools to find out housing opportunities. You want to be one of the first people to reply to a property manager. You don't want to be the 30th or 20th person, because trust me, Julius and Candace will tell you many people apply for units. So you've got to be on top of your game and when you are looking for housing. Number two, get a copy of our city housing resource guide. Christy or myself can provide this to you. It's also always on our website. If you just Googled City of Morgan Hill housing, it's one of the first things that comes up on our housing page. The resource guide is a list of every single apartment community in the city of Morgan Hill. Each one is owned and operated privately. Each one has its own property manager. So the contact information for each one is on there. You want to contact each one and ask, number one, do you have any vacancies? Number two, do you have a waiting list? I highly recommend, if the waiting list is open, doing the work of getting on the waiting list. 6 months may pass by, a year may pass by, a vacancy may come up, or it will come up, and you want to be ready to respond in that situation. So don't be discouraged like that, and I encourage you to get on as many waiting lists as you can. Number four is a very important one. You've heard me talk about our below market rate program and house keys, and we have this inclusionary housing ordinance policy. Well, if you want to find out about how you access and hear about these units when they become available, not just new construction, but also resales and also vacancies in the rentals, you really have to go onto the housekeys.org website and create an account. And Candace and Julius are going to walk you through that in just a second. And lastly, we have our fabulous housing coordinator, Christy Thomas, who is a wealth of knowledge and resource. She's here to support and provide the community with the connection to whatever resource you need. Sometimes that's a hot meal, sometimes it's legal services. So Christy is also part of our team. Next. And Julius is going to talk a little bit about how to access housing opportunities in just a second. But essentially, same thing, that you've got to go to the housekeys.org website as the first step, sign up for an account, and then attend the orientation. The below market rate ownership program, there's some education that has to happen before you really understand the program and the complexities to it. You're buying into a home in a partnership with the city for 45 years. You certainly own the home, but there's things you want to know before you move in so you fully understand the program. So our ask and requirement of you is, if you're interested, the first step is to attend the orientation. Next. Okay, I'd like to take a quick moment to introduce Brian Malikdem.
Oh, sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. Brian Malikdem, City of Morgan Hill on-house specialist. I'll be working with the city's population who are currently struggling with homelessness or at risk of becoming homeless. So if you know anybody who's struggling, or if you see an encampment or somebody out there, feel free to email me, or call or text works faster. And my contact info is there.
Thank you, Brian. We're really fortunate to have Brian. We were able to get a grant from Destination Home that helps support this role. It's really important to us that we have a teammate connecting with our unhoused neighbors, building a relationship, and offering service and support. So thrilled to have Brian join our team in December. Next. And I'll take a moment to introduce Ms. Thomas.
Everyone, I'm Christy Thomas, Housing Program Coordinator for the city. So good to see so many of you on here tonight. So my main role, as Rebecca said, is to support the overall city housing program, but I do direct a large amount of my time to finding and passing along housing resources, temporary shelter information, rent and utility assistance information, food distribution locations, and then many other resources that are available to all of you. But of course, my biggest effort is to try to help people find affordable housing. So I went ahead and set up a notification list, and I add people who contact me about needing housing to that list. And then when I hear about a unit available, I pass this information along. So I think we're going to put our emails in the chat. And then if you or someone you know that needs to be added to my communications, just send me an email and I'd be happy to do that. Back to Rebecca.
Thank you, Christy. That was my 5th tip that I forgot to mention. Make sure you contact Christy, send her an email or call her and say, hey, can you let me know if any housing opportunities come up? Sometimes landlords will contact us, and when we do, we just shoot it out to the entire list of folks who've contacted Christy. Next. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Julius and Candace to talk a little bit more about house keys and how you access their website and sign up for an account and why that's so important.
Thank you, Rebecca. So we're very excited to be here tonight with you to show you how to access opportunities on the My House Keys and House Keys pages. So I'm going to share my screen here so you can see our website. So up on the screen, you're going to see housekeys1.com. This is our website for all things Morgan Hill. So you have up here different resources that you can use as you're looking for housing. So the first thing that you will do is come to the link that says Getting Started. This is going to give you information about how to use the website, how to get information about rental units, how to get your files ready, how to package your buyer file or your rental file. So when it's time to get ready for your opportunity, you know what you need to collect and how you need to enter that information. We also have an events, which Julius is going to cover in just a second, to show you how to come to one of our live orientations. We have a live orientation next week in Spanish on June 15th. So Julius is going to share with you that resource. So in addition to giving you some startup information about how to get your packet ready, we also tell you about the different opportunities that are available in the city. So under home buyer opportunities, you can see a list of all of the different homes that are available right now in the Morgan Hill. Rental opportunities here, Morgan Ranch Apartments is our BMR property in the city of Morgan Hill and actually has 3 available units right now. So if you're interested in looking at any of these opportunities, you come to the page and I'm going to click. I'm going to show you what our opportunities page looks like. So right now at Morgan Ranch Apartments, we have a 1-bedroom unit available. As Rebecca has said earlier in the call, we have to make sure that when you're going through and you're interested in an opportunity that you know where you're placed in that spreadsheet and that sheet that Rebecca showed in terms of how many household members do you have? What is your household income? So here, this unit is for low income households. So this means that if your household is within the bracket for low income, then you could qualify for this unit. So as you go down the information, you'll see some different information about the project, about the unit, and how to apply. We have opportunity drawings that we will send out and start up every time an opportunity is available. So I'm going to give you a hint as we go through this, what the quickest way to get information about these opportunities. So as you're going through our page and you're cycling through the different opportunities, it's really important to check what income limit does that unit qualify for. So then you know when you're looking at these opportunities, which unit you're going to qualify for right away. So you can just scroll through all of these different opportunities to see what is available. Now, when you're getting ready to get your application together, you can come back up to our Getting Started page. And we can go and click for Morgan Ranch. We're going to click on rental program. We're going to see what do we have to get together to have that packet ready so that when we're ready for Morgan Ranch to call us, we know the process. So on our rental program page, we have different information about how to package a file. I'm going to click on this one. This is really one of the most important questions people ask. What do you need to see from me? What do I need to have together? So by clicking on packaging a rental file, it's going to give you a step-by-step guide of what to get together. It's going to show you what documents we need to collect, and it's even going to offer these in Spanish. So for those of you that need to get additional resources, we are doing what we can to make sure that you have the same opportunities to apply for these units as everybody else. So if I click on these, I can go right to the different application packages. And as Julius is going to discuss, we have orientation classes that will explain to you how to fill out these packages. So this is a very good place to start once you've determined what opportunities that you're interested in. So I'm going to head back up and I'm going to show you again. Let's pretend that we are going to apply for this unit at Morgan Ranch. Now, I told you I would share a little tip with you, and here it is. We update our page every time there's an opportunity. But if you've already registered for an application ID within the city of Morgan Hill, you get a quick update as soon as that opportunity is available. So hot off the presses. So let me show you how to do that now to make sure that you're getting those updates as quickly as possible. So if I'm interested in Morgan Ranch Apartments and I've clicked through and I've read through all of the information about the unit and I have decided this is the unit that I want to apply for, the very next step is to come to our myhousekeys.com page and register for an application ID. So myhousekeys.com takes you to a login screen and we'll walk you through the process for registering for an application ID so you could be the first one to hear about these opportunities that are opening in Morgan Hill. So from this page, I'm going to click Create an Account. And it's going to take me to a page where I will be able to enter my user name will always be my email. And the reason why is because we're primarily going to contact you by email. So it's really important that you're going to put an email address that you're going to check regularly, because when that opportunity comes out, you want to make sure that you're the first one to hear about it. So we put in our email address, we put in our passwords, and we click Create an Account. And what that's going to do is it's going to send you a verification code email. Now, if you don't get this email, we recommend you check your spam box. Sometimes they put that into your junk. So you want to make sure if you haven't gotten that verification code that you check there. Now, once I get my verification code, I can come right back, put my username, the email address that I set up, and enter my confirmation code. It's just that quick. So then I'm going to click Confirm. So it's going to now come back and it's going to allow me to enter my information and to go into myhousekeys.com and register for an application ID. So at the very beginning, it's going to ask you, who are you? Are you an applicant that's interested in opportunities, or are you a resident that already lives in one of our homes or our rental units? So I'm going to show you the application section. It's very, very quick. It's just going to ask me some very basic startup questions about my household. So I'm going to enter my information here, and it's going to ask me how many household members that I have. So I'm going to put all of the household members that intend to reside in my home with me. I'm going to put in an income limit, and it's even going to ask me, what is my household payment right now? It's going to ask some demographic information. So I'm just going to enter in here. You can see that this starts up. It actually starts to fill this information in for you. It'll fill your address in. And then as you go through the demographics information, please understand that it is voluntary. You can click Prefer Not to Answer if you would prefer not to answer these questions. So once I get through all these basic questions about my household composition, I click Next, and then it's going to ask me a couple more. It's going to say, do you currently own a home? Then it's going to ask me if any members of my home have been a veteran, in the military, and other questions that help us track demographics of who's going to be living in our properties. They ask about whether or not you work for a city, whether you work within the city limits, or any other information that helps us track who are our applicants. So I'm going to click Submit. And it's just let me know that I've completed my initial registration. This is the information you want. This is the page that tells you that you have now registered for My House Keys, and it's ready for you to start looking at opportunities and the different programs that are available. So we are now going to go, once we have this page, and we're going to go to our home page. So you can see here that I don't have a lot of information entered. I've only entered very basic information to make sure that I've entered my information. So at another time, I can come back to Menu, click Manage Your Household, and enter more detailed information about who's going to be living with me in my home. Now, it's important to make sure you enter any adult household members aged 18 and older, and it's going to ask you to enter income, some information about your assets, and other household characteristics that will be used when we're starting to process your file. So how do I see what's open? I'm going to go back to my homepage. Now, when I'm at my dashboard here, I can click on my programs and it's going to show me every program that's covered in the My House Key system. So I'm going to come down here and right now I'm going to enter the rental program. So it's important to know that the rental program is different than the homeownership program in the city of Morgan Hill. So you can enter both. So I'm going to start by entering the rental program. So all I have to do to request an application ID is just click right here. And it's going to ask me some very, very simple questions. See, there we go. And it's just told me that I have now submitted my application. I have an application ID. Now, this is that golden ticket I taught you about. This is what's going to make sure that you're front row for the next opportunity that comes out. By making sure that you always keep your email updated, now that I have an application ID, not only can I look at all the opportunities in Morgan Hill, but I get notified right away when one comes in. So let's see how we can get in to see our different opportunities. So we're going to come back to our homepage. Now, you can see that here's my program. So if you ever wonder, did that go through? I maybe missed my screen. Maybe I had a problem. When you're looking here at my program and you can see your application ID, you know that you are in the program for Morgan Hill. So when I want to see what's open, I'm going to click here under my drawings, and this shows me all the different drawings that are open in Morgan Hill. So I'm going to show you a little bit prettier of a version. This is going to give you the actual specifics about the units that are open. So remember those 3 units I showed you for Morgan Ranch? Here they are here. Now they're going to tell you it's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It's going to give you the square footage. It's going to give you the rent, and it's going to give you that magic number that Rebecca has already taught you about, which is finding out where your household income sits. So we know that this unit at Morgan Ranch is for households that make under 80%. This is what we call lower or low income. But we have 2 units available right now at that property for the lower, for what we call very low income. So you can see it's a less expensive rent. So I've decided that I'm going to enter the drawing for the very low 1 bedroom. Okay, now before I enter a drawing, you always want to make sure that this is the right drawing you want to go to. If there's an issue down the line, you realize you entered the wrong drawing or you entered the wrong unit number. Maybe you really want a 1 bedroom, but you went into the 2. It's really important that you really read very carefully before you enter the drawing. So I'm going to enter this drawing. Let me show you how easy it is for me to get my name on the list at Morgan Ranch Apartments. So I'm going to click enter drawing. And then we're going to confirm, make sure this is the right unit that I want. It's the 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It's 50%. So I'm just going to click next, and it's going to ask me 2 questions that help us figure out whether you qualify for one of the city's preferences. So the city of Morgan Hill will allow a preference if you work or live in the city of Morgan Hill within the last 6 months. So I'm going to say, yes, I live in the city of Morgan Hill, but I don't work there. Now that's going to set the system to show that I meet one of my preferences. Now, when I meet with the property management staff, I'm going to have to show that I actually met one of these preferences. So make sure before you click the button that you know that you're going to be able to get documentation together to show that you live or work in Morgan Hill. Now, down here, it's going to ask me for my income again. Now, when you do this process on the phone, sometimes this is a hard spot to see. So often you'll have somebody that needs to click directly on the words to open up that box. Now, the last question it's going to ask me is, how much liquid cash do I have to pay my deposit? Well, why is that important? Because once you're selected, you'll need to pay a security deposit to the property management staff. So it's really important that we understand right away what kind of funds you have to be able to pay that deposit. So I'm just going to come down here, 4 easy questions, and click submit. And congratulations, your entry has been registered for the drawing. So now I know that I am on the list for this unit at Morgan Ranch Apartments. So now I can click view submission. It's going to give me information. It's going to remind me. So if I need to come back, I want to confirm, what did I see? I can come right back here and see the information about my submission. Okay, so one last little piece about My House Keys system that's really important is over here in menu. We want you to make sure that those first stages where you're getting your account together, you're entering only basic information. So make sure you come back and follow it up by going to your information profile and entering data about your household. Okay. So Julius is going to take over and talk with you a little bit about how you can find out more information. We have orientations and different information about the program and what you need to know to qualify it for it, and also FAQ sessions and different informational sessions. So I'm gonna stop my share screen. Okay.
All right, so really quickly here, let me bring up my screen.
Thank you, Candace. That was great. Super helpful.
Thank you. So everybody can see my screen here, the City of Morgan Hill webpage. All right, so as a first step for anyone looking to apply for affordable housing, there's a lot of information that we just reviewed as far as knowing household size, knowing maximum income, how to sign up at myhousekeys.com. And so the site that you want to go to, again, and we'll correct this on the breakdown, is the housekeys1.com website is everything that we put in place for the City of Morgan Hill. So once you go to housekeys1.com, you'll see on the getting started page, there's an events link. So when you go to the events link, you're going to see different events that are available to sign up. So whether it's there's 3 really important events that we do every single month and week. One is every single Friday, we have a FAQ session. So you'll notice on all these Fridays, you can sign up for an FAQ session. You simply hit the sign up question and then you click to register. And that will get you signed up for any orientation class that you want. And even if you see a Morgan Hill orientation or you see another orientation coming up, the FAQ session will cover any program. So most of the questions that you have, you can sign up for an FAQ session. It's typically at 12 o'clock on Fridays. And then we'll be able to have a live staff member from HouseKeys answer your questions right there on the spot. Every other Saturday, we have a FAQ session at 10 a.m. where we do the same thing that we do on Friday, but for folks that can't make it at the Friday session. And then you'll see that there are evening workshops during the week that are more orientation class specific. And that's going to really focus on the city that you're interested in, whether it's Morgan Hill or another city in the system. So the orientation class is definitely going to be your first step. You're going to follow information or get information about how to sign up, household size, how to understand how to read your income, determine your income category, and what the process is, whether you're looking at a buyer or you're looking at it from a renter standpoint. So that is the orientation class. I'll pass it back to Rebecca.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you, Candace. All right, we can open it up to questions. Thank you all for being here and taking time to be with us and learn about our housing programs. It's our goal to do more of this over the next year, so there'll be other opportunities. But for now, we will take some questions, if there are any.
Yeah, so for those folks that are joining us on Zoom, you can raise your hand to ask questions verbally. If you're calling in, you can ask questions by dialing *9. We also have the Q&A open. Our first, it's more of a comment in the Q&A, just Rebecca and team, thank you and your team for sharing your knowledge, expertise, and support on a much needed and valued service. So thank you for that. Our next question is, do I still qualify if I don't live there but need to move in by August for a new job? I just got hired by the school district and can't find anything affordable.
You want to take that one, Julius or Candace?
take that one. So because the process can take some time to get your household certified, I would recommend that you right away get on the list for the opportunities at Morgan Ranch that interest you. So as Julia showed you and we talked about, you're going to go to housekeys1.org, and it's going to show you the opportunities, the rental opportunities that are available at Morgan Ranch. So once you review them and you decide what's going to work best, you should have probably by now already gotten an offer letter, so you have an idea at least of what your household income will be. Select the opportunity that best fits your needs. Then they will go onto the list. Unfortunately, if they fill that before August, at least you've gone through the steps now. Once you get that application ID, you'll get that immediate notification as soon as an opportunity is available. So my recommendation is to get on that list right now. It does take some time for them to cycle through. Perhaps it will still be available in August, but by getting that application ID right now, you'll know about the next one that comes available. So definitely act now. Even if that one's not available, there's something good to come soon.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback on Candace's note as well, is so HouseKeys, the website for the units that you saw represented, and even the ownership units that you might find on there, are simply the city's inclusionary housing program, or BMR program as it's typically called. There's still a wait list for all the many more affordable units that are in the city's general affordable housing inventory. So as somebody that's moving to Morgan Hill, you want to think of it as, I can go to HouseKeys website and sign up for the inclusionary BMR program units, whether they be for sale or for rent. And I can reach out to the resources at the city, specifically to sign up for that wait list for all the other units that are in the city's inventory.
Thank you, Julius. Perfect. Absolutely. And so we absolutely house people from other cities. In our inclusionary program, we give a preference to people who live or work in Morgan Hill. With that said, we have to move fast when we occupy these units and sell these units. We can't hang on to them. So there isn't always somebody who applies who lives or works from Morgan Hill. So then we have to go to the next qualified buyer. So absolutely follow Candace's advice and sign up.
And just, sorry, I know it's a good question to ask, because I know it's technical too, is that because you have an offer letter, or know you have an offer letter, because you're talking about a salary position as a teacher, you want to take advantage of the fact that from day one, you're going to get qualified as working in Morgan Hill. So you want to enter and check the box as somebody that works in Morgan Hill. So you're going to get that preference. And then as you go through the drawing and you get selected in that drawing, we're going to ask you for proof that you meet that preference requirement of working in Morgan Hill, and your offer letter will qualify as that proof. That at least we know that you're employed here. So specifically, you don't want to count yourself out if you already know you're working here and you do have an offer letter in hand. You want to make sure you understand that qualifies you. That would qualify you with the underwriter once you provide that to them in writing, or upload that to your file cabinet.
And one more thing that just popped in my mind, HouseKeys first got their start with the city of Morgan Hill, but they actually also serve, 16 other cities, many cities in Santa Clara County. They support Gilroy with the same service. So if you just Googled housekeys.org, you're also going to see opportunities in other cities. And right now you need to know this, because you may not find an opportunity in Morgan Hill right when you need one. So you got to broaden your search and do whatever you can. So keep that in mind too.
Okay, we can go to our next question. Hi, thank you for providing info. I have an income and my ex-partner gives me monetary income for my kids, but he doesn't give me child support. Is a mutual agreement how I would show that?
If you have a mutual agreement that you could show, I would recommend, really ultimately providing everything that you can. We would also accept a letter from the person that's providing you the income that's been notarized, that explains how much you receive monthly, how much you've received in the last 12 months, and how much you expect to receive in the next 12 months. So We will ask for some documentation to see whether there was already an existing child support order. So you may be asked to provide something from the court system that would show that there has been no payments to you in the last 12 months, just to confirm that there was no open order. But if there was a mutual agreement outside of the court, we will typically accept a notarized statement from the person providing you information. We always want to see how much has been earned in the last 12 months. So that could also be something that we've collected. And we've actually even collected Venmo statements that show that the deposits are made every month. So we understand that there's new types of agreements out there. So we really take a deeper dive to look at what is with your household. So there's definitely stuff that we can collect for this.
Great question.
My next question, does housing usually have 3-bedroom availability?
So from a rental perspective, there are no 3-bedroom units in the BMR program at Morgan Ranch. I know that on the home ownership side, 3-bedroom homes are definitely a possibility. But on the rental side, so far, the projects that we have right now in Morgan Hill do not have a 3-bedroom option.
And just to add to that too, you want to think of, when you say housing program, think of it as the city has a policy that new construction, when you're talking about, again, going back to Rebecca's first point that she made, there are various touch points in which the city's providing housing. Any of those various touch points, whether it's the apartments that are listed in the community resource guide, their 3-bedroom apartments could be listed there. As Candace said, right now, we don't have any 3 bedrooms in the rental program, but as builders are building and proposing new construction projects, there could be 3-bedroom product, as they say, product that comes up. And then on the ownership side, it's really twofold because the program, as Rebecca mentioned, has been around for 40 years. There are really 2 sources of housing opportunities. So either there's going to be what we call a resale, right? One of the homeowners that are in a program agreement for 45 years has been owning their home for 20 years and they decide to sell. And those are older products that could be larger lot sizes, bedroom counts, all that could be coming out of a reflection of what was built in the 90s or 2000s or any of that. Then you've got the new construction that you may see driving around that has inclusionary components to that new construction project. And that project will have multiple bedroom counts in it as well. So because the city is requiring inclusion, right? You're including these projects within what's already being built. So there's no way to distinguish between affordable and non-affordable inventory in the city of Morgan Hill. All these bedroom types can be part of what's being built by the community already. So don't think of it like in this housing, but really what's already being built has inclusionary, and that's going to solve for 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom studios, et cetera, based on what's being built by the builders today. And today they're building smaller than they were 10 years ago. So you're going to see different kinds of inventory come across our opportunity list. Sorry.
And to Julius's point, as we're reviewing developers' plans, we have a policy that says the below market rate unit cannot be smaller than the smallest market rate unit. Finishes have to be similar. We don't want them to be distinguishable from one another. So we ask that the BMRs be by bedroom count, by bathroom count, the average of what is being provided in the project holistically. So off the top of my head, I don't know how many 3 bedrooms we have on the horizon, but if you want to email us, that's something we can certainly look up and let you know.
Thank
I would
you.
say also, I put it in the chat, but Park Place Apartments, an affordable apartment complex in our city, they have 3-bedroom units and they often have availability in those. So I would check with them.
Thank you. And I saw we had a hand up. Oh, there we go. We'll jump over there real quick. I have Pat.
Oh, wait a minute. Hi, I'm Pat. Can you hear me? Yes, I have a question. Great. I have a question about qualifying. I'm considered below low income. If I have a down payment, does that bring me up to another level so I qualify for more? Or how does extra money added to qualifying, how is that looked at?
So you want to think of it as two, so there's two different ways to look at your application when you're going for a home ownership, because you said down payment, I'm going to assume we're talking home ownership. So there's one is going to be, what kind of mortgage financing am I going to use? And if I have a larger down payment, does that qualify me for a larger mortgage because I can offset, or a larger purchase price because I can offset how much I'm borrowing? That's one piece of it. But as far as that down payment, it does not impact what income category. So if I make $80,000 or $70,000 a year and I'm putting down $50,000, that $50,000 does not contribute or offset or add to that $80,000 that I make per year, other than that maybe 10% of that $50,000 or $5,000 could be added to that 80. So it could increase my income slightly just based on how we look at assets being part of your total income, but the down payment itself doesn't just add to your actual income. So you want to look at those two things as two separate things. I have a down payment, so if I'm going to purchase a home, that might qualify me for a larger purchase because I can avoid mortgage. I got some down payment, I got some mortgage, so I can get more house. Then when I look at my gross annual income before taxes and my total household size, that puts me, as you said, in the low income category, and it wouldn't go over into, let's say, moderate or a higher income category than low, unless there was so much in assets that we had to take a percentage of those assets and add it to your income, and that would take you over. And that percentage is never higher than 10%. So if I have $50,000 as my down payment, it would only add a maximum of $5,000 to my gross household income, because in the law, they tell you to add, a percentage of the assets to the total household income. So I know that's you kind of have a multifaceted question. So I just want to make sure we give you a good answer there, but the team is always helpful because they help translate what I just told you. So if someone wants to help break that down.
I'll translate. Unless you got $1 million extra in the bank, I wouldn't be too worried, because that's, like Julia said, it's asset. That's a very kind of a different thing. It's important to know, and you'll have to account for it. But your income, whether you're low or very low or extremely or moderate, that is a separate thing.
Thank you. And Pat, if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to raise your hand. So following up on an earlier question about the support, the financial support, a follow-up question was asked, what if they had separated recently? I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that earlier answer.
So it would, if you were married, so when somebody is married, and we call it a non-residing spouse. So somebody that's not going to live in the home with you, that you're still married. So if the situation is you're recently separated, but still married, we're going to look at things like your tax return. And if there's shared assets and you're still filing taxes with that spouse, even though that spouse isn't going to live in the home, we are going to count their income. So it's really important that you have documentation together about what your current status is, if you filed for divorce, where you're at in that process, because we do take a really close look at when people are married. Even if the spouse is not going to be living in the home, we do have to count that income. And the exceptions are when somebody has gone through all of the divorce, we sometimes see where they have separated assets, separated tax returns. It's very obvious that the finances are not continuing to be tied together. So this is a super case-by-case specific issue. So I would say if you have specific concerns about your case, I can put our email address out there. Is customerservice@housekeys.org, routes to all of us. So you can put the specifics of your situation, and one of us can reach out, kind of walk you through what you would need to know. So case by case.
And just to add to that, so the one thing that you want to think about and this is a good question and a good topic for anybody applying for any housing program. So when you apply for an affordable housing program, anybody reviewing your situation is underwriting to a maximum number. The question is, are you below the maximum income limit? Now, the reason why that gets frustrating is because normally all of us applying for anything, insurance, mortgages, car loans, student loans, it's all about, do you make minimum? Do you make enough to cover the payment of what you're asking for. Do you make enough to cover the premium or whatever? So it's always based on minimum. So having too much income is not a problem for most of the underwriting or review that we ever go through to get access to something. The reason why affordable housing can be frustrating is because we're thinking, what are you going to make over the next 12 months? Versus when I go to a mortgage, they're asking, what did you make over the last 24 months? And they're averaging over the last 24 months, whereas in programs, we're projecting over the next 12 months. So when you talk about a spousal situation or whether somebody lives together, because we're underwriting to a maximum, we have to rule out that other income to make sure that you're still below the income. So that's what Candace is saying is a case-by-case basis is our underwriters are looking at, can we eliminate that income? Because we know that by eliminating it, it brings you below the maximum. Whereas if I'm at the bank, much lower, threshold, the more income, the better, right? Bring it all in. We don't have to worry about that. So if you were married or unmarried, it's just going to be about your credit. And if that person has good or bad credit, then that's the impact that the bank is more worried about, as opposed to a housing program. We're looking at, are you under the income limit? And if I brought in that income, does that throw you over? And then that now becomes me having to rule out that income so that you actually fit that income category that Rebecca laid out at the beginning of this whole presentation. So because these are income limits, we're always looking at, are you below the maximum of that income limit? So extremely low, very low, low. As you go higher, you get into other income categories that disqualify you for the housing below, and you meet the housing for the category that you're in.
Thank you for that clarification, Julius. Good point.
And the last question we have right now is there a limit or a maximum on how many people can be in a 2-bedroom?
There is. There's a maximum of 5 people that can reside in a 2-bedroom apartment. 2-person minimum for a 2-bedroom, 5-person maximum. On a 1-bedroom, it's a 1-person minimum, a 3-person maximum.
Thank you. Is there anybody who is on Zoom tonight that has any questions? If so, you can raise your virtual hand. Otherwise, that addresses all the questions we have so far.
All right, thank you all for joining us. I just want to bring your attention back to those orientations that Candace and Julius mentioned that HouseKeys has. It's essentially the same type of environment, same opportunity to ask questions and get answers. So we'll be doing this again. Those happen pretty often regularly. So just wanted to make sure to remind you of those. Thank you, team. Thanks for joining us. Have a good evening.
Take care.
Bye-bye.